No.
Hi everybody, just going to wait a couple more seconds and let people have enough time to join before we begin. I hope you all have lunch with you, you're comfortable, ready to start. Okay, so I think I'm gonna go ahead and start. So good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Black History Month talk with Charlene Hunter. My name is Kosei Isiade and I am a consultant from WM Reply and the host for today's talk. Most of you might remember that I gave a talk a couple of months back now about Black Lives Matter and the importance of the movement, why we should support it, and how as a company we can do better to help our Black employees. So to keep the ball rolling, we've decided to invite someone in this time to talk some more about what they do and amplifying Black women's voices in technology. The reason I specifically chose Charlene Hunter is because, as I said, she does amplify Black women's voices in tech, and we are one of the most underrepresented groups within the tech industry. Out of all of the technical roles that there are, only 26% of those are filled by women. And if we delve deeper into those statistics, only 3% of those women are Black women. And so I love what Charlene is doing with Coding Black Females. I actually reached out to her maybe a year and a bit ago now when I needed help with a final year project when I was at university, and she helped me with my code over Twitter. I needed help and I was struggling with my Java code for my final year project, and I was like, does anyone know Java? Hashtag Black Women in Tech, hashtag dissertation. And she jumped into my DMs and was so happy to help me, and then told me a bit more about Coding Black Females, the organization, what they do. And since then I've been to a number of talks and seminars with them. And so I just love the fact that she's amplifying Black women in tech and their voices. And so for Black History Month, we're going to hear from her, hear what she has to say and what she does. So without further ado, about me rambling, I'll hand you over to Charlene.
Hi, that was such a lovely introduction. Thank you so much for that. I remember when you were sending those messages, and I genuinely really enjoyed helping with Java, and nobody ever asked me to do that anymore, so thank you. So today I'm going to do a quick talk about finding your passion in community and around the community that I've built with Coding Black Females. First of all, I'll introduce myself to all of you. So who am I? I'm the founder of Coding Black Females, and I'm also a lead engineer at Meetup, which is a software consultancy. To give you a bit about my background and how I came to be who I am now, I was born and raised in Nottingham. I went to Nottingham Girls High School, which was fantastic for me, got loads of really good opportunities, and was never afraid of doing anything because I was around women and girls, and they don't hold you back when you're in those sorts of environments. I was also really lucky in that my parents both run software companies. So my dad has a software organization building software, and my mum has a training company as well in technology software. So it was quite a good experience to grow up in that sort of environments. Alongside that, they also did work with community organizations to try and build up the Black community in Nottingham. And I grew up around listening to what can we do to build up the community, and it was very key to me all the time to know when you get to a good position, you have to do something with your community as well at that point. After that, I went on to the University of Birmingham, where I studied a BSc in mathematical sciences and an MSc in computer science. I wasn't sure what I wanted to do after I did maths. I was thinking of going down the accounting path, but I chose to pull it back and do what I love and did an MSc in computer science, which helped me to land a role in London at BAE Systems as a software developer. And then I moved on to being a contractor, and then started a role recently as a lead engineer at Meetup. And from 2017 onwards, I've been very community focused. So alongside my roles, I have set up a community called Code and Black Females, which I love with all my heart, and Meetup Code, which I also love. So they're two fantastic communities that I'm a part of. So I'll delve a bit more into how I actually got into tech. I really enjoyed maths and coding when I was at school. In our school, we had those BBC microsystems computers, so I used to get to have loads of fun doing basic during my lunch times and whenever I could get a spare break to run inside and do some coding. And then I went on to study maths, further maths and physics at A-level. So really grounding on the maths there, really enjoyed it. I always say that people think it's really hard subjects, but to me, I can't write essays. So it was really fantastic for me to get so much enjoyment out of doing maths and further maths, and then more maths at the University of Birmingham, which I absolutely loved as well. And then, as I said earlier, I then went on to do an MSc in computer science. So I'm going to talk a bit more around the roles that I've done since I've started my career. So I started at BAE Systems in 2008 as a senior consultant. And I mean, that was really fun. I really enjoyed it, but I can't say that I didn't have moments where I felt isolated, where I felt as though I'd started this role and I didn't see anybody who looked like me around me. I didn't know how important that was until I started it. And there'd be times when people would say things or you want people to have your back on something, but there's nobody there. And I did a lot around then to try and develop my own understanding of myself and my identity. So alongside, building up my understanding of how to write really good software and build really good applications, I also started learning Black history studies as well, which gave me a really good grounding into my own background. I also, as much as, there could have been some slight negatives, I was given loads of opportunities here to do whatever I wanted to develop my skills. So I would always say, I want to be part of the full software lifecycle. I want to understand every single part of how software is built. So I would get involved in building requirements, the team leading, doing some testing, and also the design, doing some of the architecture work as well. And people noticed that I had those skills and really wanted to pull me into that space so that I could really get involved. After being there for a while, I then went contracting, where I essentially got exposed to a lot more. I really wanted to hone in on my actual technical skills. So I got involved in more tech stacks, more applications, more side projects, and did more of the technical architecture as well, just because I really wanted to build on those skills. And this is the time as well. Contracting meant that I wasn't doing any of the additional internal work that you do when you're in a company. So I really got a chance to focus on how I could develop myself and develop the community. And it's actually in this time, whilst I was contracting, that I set up Code and Black Females. It was really key that I had that space, I think, to be able to then go off and think, okay, what can I do within the community? This is a time I was going to quite a lot of tech events. And again, you would find that there weren't many people that looked like you, and it was great to learn new skills and to get loads of additional knowledge, but it was also important to see Black women doing awesome stuff as well. And recently, I've just started at Maytech. This is actually a time where I really wanted this role because it's less hands-on, less coding, but it's given me a lot more insight into bid writing and building proposals and really getting involved in how you really run a company. And I really want to develop those skills. I'm also leading an academy program there, which is a 12-week program to get more people into the tech industry. So as I've sort of touched on throughout all of that time, I did start to do what I could to try and build community. So in 2017, I set up Code and Black Females, which was to meet other Black women in tech. And in 2018, I set up Meetup Code, which is open to absolutely anybody who are developers and want to meet up with other people and code together. And then in 2020, we've actually launched a coding bootcamp to train 50 Black women to get into the tech industry as well. And that's such an exciting accomplishment. We've had loads of recognition for it, and it's exciting on a daily basis. So I'll go a bit more into some of that. So first of all, I'll talk about Code and Black Females and why I set it up in the first place. So people have always asked me, like, what is it about Code and Black Females? Why why is that important to you? And I'm like, well, that's me. I love coding. I'm a Black woman. It just makes sense that that's what I would create. And I think that after I'd done quite a lot of identity seeking, so, you know, learning my history, finding out about myself, doing more in technology, it really helped me to understand that that was something, you know, build something around yourself that means something to you, because it'll mean something to somebody else as well. So on the coding side, I did really enjoy attending tech events. So I wanted to create a space where we could have our own events, where we could go together to events as well, so that we wouldn't be the only Black woman at a large tech conference. I also wanted to meet other Black people in the industry. You know, I really enjoyed learning my history. I'd acknowledged that there was a lack of Black people in tech. I didn't really meet Black people in tech, and I just wanted to know what their experiences were as well. I'm sure some of you will have seen Hidden Figures, absolutely fantastic film. 3 Black women who were part of the space race, and for me that was such an inspiring movie for me to watch, where I got to watch Black women who were into mathematics and coding, and I'd never ever seen that before. And after seeing that, I went home that night and created Coding Black Females, because at the very least I wanted to say to other Black women, have you seen this film? Like, let's just watch it again. Like, I've watched it like 50 times. So I would definitely say that was one of the key moments where I've seen myself in a film, and I wanted people to see themselves in other situations. And, you know, there aren't many women in tech as well. We all know that. And alongside that, there are negative things that we experience, and there's racism, there's sexism, and I really wanted to create a safe space for us all to come together and develop each other and grow together as well. So what is it that we actually do at Coding Black Females? We do a lot. I feel like every day we're doing something brand new, and it's all focused around getting more Black women into the tech industry. So we're really focused on growing the community. If anything is focused on growing the community of Black women in technology, we'll generally be getting involved in it. One of the reasons that you might see less women in the industry, you know, we're lacking the role models. So we're doing things around making sure those role models are visible. So we try to showcase talent, and that's by providing speakers at conferences, or we have a podcast, we run webinars and things like that, so that people, Black women, can see other Black women doing fantastic things, but also the wider audience can also see that, and they'll recognise the skills in Black women as well. We really want to have a space for networking. I think that building networks is absolutely key to being able to progress in the industry. So I try to encourage the women in our network to network with each other, but also with the wider network as well, with external companies too. It's really important. All of the events that we run are free, because we want to make it as accessible as possible. We don't want anyone to not have access to this fantastic industry that I love being a part of. And we also showcase the job opportunities as well that are happening at companies, and we work with companies to make sure that they're creating the correct sort of environment for Black women. And by that I just mean an inclusive environment. It's not like it needs anything special. It's just be inclusive. Just don't, you know, have the right sort of environment for people. So we started in 2017, and in that time we have seen a lot of growth. This graph on the side is a little bit out of date now, but we have had a really significant amount of growth. When we first started out, we would meet up in bars and just talk about being in tech, like, what's it like, how are you finding it? And then 2018 was a really great time, because WeWork started offering free space to all meetup groups, or a lot of them anyway. So we were able to have more structured conversations and discussions in a really safe space then about what we were experiencing, what we wanted from the community, and what we wanted to do together as well. 2019, so last year, was another great year, and that's when a lot of the sponsorship started. You'll see that black bar graph bit in 2019. We grew quite a lot last year. So there was an amazing conference called Afro Tech Fest, which was a chance for us to go and talk about Coding Black Females. And to tell you about Afro Tech Fest, it's the first time I've been in a room full of Black people talking about technology. And I know it was the same for a lot of other Black people in the room at the same time. And it was really important for our growth, which you can see right there, like it really boosted what we're doing. But those sorts of spaces are really powerful as well. And then this year, as much as we've had a really tough year with COVID, with Black Lives Matter, like this year has been hard, but at the same time, we have now got a worldwide reach. We are reaching more people, we're talking to more people, we've launched a boot camp, a podcast, webinars. We're doing so much more to try and get people into the industry and to support people that are already in it as well. And this is just a view of, what we've been doing over the last few years. So, we've got loads of social media presence now, just to make sure that people can see what we're doing. That picture there is actually from a Bloomberg event that we did with a coding boot camp, because they really wanted to support what we're doing. And we've had loads of events. We have loads of attendees at every single event. I don't really know how we do it, but it's absolutely fantastic to have such engagement all the time in this really, really energetic community. So the sorts of events that we've done, these are all pre-COVID, just so that you don't think that we're out there like all being really close to each other. One of the most exciting events that we've done was at Condé Nast last year, which was an event to celebrate Black women in the tech industry currently, but also in tech history. And I know for a lot of people that meant so much to be in a space where you were around Black women who are in the industry and you're like, hey, I can do this as well. There's so many women that come to me and say, I didn't know I could do this until I'd seen that there were a group of Black women already doing it. So that's one of the key reasons we did this. It was to highlight that we've been doing it for a while and we're still doing it. So join us and get involved, because it's loads of fun. And that event was fantastic because we had patties as well, so Jamaican patties. And I don't think I've ever been to an event where I've had patties and tech at the same time. So that was great for me. We've had other really fantastic events. So we had a pair coding workshop at the BBC where they found a bunch of their developers who wanted to support people, and we brought in people that wanted to learn to code. And we just had some pair coding sessions. We don't just focus on coding as well. So at Moo offered a space for quite a long time. And we've been able to run some of the non-technical workshops as well. So looking at how people could build up their social media presence and represent themselves well online, and running CV workshops to make sure that they get the roles that they want to get because they're represented well on paper. Obviously, we know there's a lot around bias and other issues, but that was key to make sure that we're going in the right way in the first place. And Monzo's been fantastic too. We've had loads of fantastic events there. This isn't the limit. There's been so many more, but these are some of the most fun ones that that we've had, and we've had really good attendance at. We've also tried to get more Black women to attend conferences. So there's attendance. We get a lot of free tickets from a lot of conferences. If I see a conference happening, I will reach out to them and say, could you give me some free tickets for the women in my community, because I want us to go to conferences. And that might seem like it doesn't make any sense, but I've had women in the network, who haven't had free tickets, who I've said, will you go to this conference? Let's go together. And they can afford it, but they've looked at the panel and they've said, do you know what? I don't see any Black women here. Like, I don't really feel like being the only one today. I can't do it again. So the reason I get free tickets is so that we go in a group and we get a few people to go together. And also it removes those barriers to entry that there could be if somebody's not already in a role that could sponsor that. So the reason we do it is to get more of us going to conferences, learning new skills, developing our skills, and to be present in these spaces as well. And not only are we attending conferences, I will call the conference organisers if I see an issue where I look at a speaker panel and there aren't Black women speaking, and I'll say, look, we've got speakers. I want you to put more Black women on the speaker panels as well. So Black Hat here is one where that wasn't where I reached out. We were contacted from San Francisco, and they saw the fact that we were running this event or this community and said, look, can we have some speakers, please? We just want to be able to do something with you. So we're getting people speaking at conferences and attending more conferences as well. So we're developing skills, not just entry level, but all the way through the stack. And it's not just us that are recognizing it. It's not just those companies, but these are some of the companies that are supporting us, that are sponsoring us right now. And that's growing. I can't actually fit all of them on here anymore because the number of companies that are working with us is just increasing massively. To talk a little bit about Black Coder, this kind of was born in 2020, so earlier this year, and we put together a put together a syllabus, a curriculum based on what we know the tech industry is looking for. So we're building full stack developers. We've got 50 women that we're training. And we're doing that in collaboration with a company called Neo Enterprise, who are based in the West Midlands. And it's funded by the West Midlands Combined Authority. As I said, we're training 50 Black women to become software developers. And that's actually a 60-week program. So 30-week program, and that's part-time. So they're doing it in their evenings, so people who are in roles don't have to leave their roles. And also it just makes it more accessible. If somebody's unemployed, for example, they've got more time to then work on side projects and to get more work done as well. And we're trying to train people to become full stack developers. This is a really exciting program. We've had loads of support from mentors, companies who want to get involved as well. And people are learning so much. It's such a fantastic moment when you get to talk to somebody who, like 3 months ago now, couldn't do anything on the command line, and now they're showing me something on the command line to then open something and editing something in Vi, and it's just amazing to see that sort of progression. And I don't think they realise how far they've come either, and they're not even all the way through. So I did mention at the beginning as well that there's another organisation that I run along with somebody else, and that's Meetup Code. So Meetup Code was set up in 2020 to meet up and code with other developers. Me and one of my friends, we used to meet up quite a lot to have what we used to call laptop loser time, which we would call LLT for short, so that nobody knew that we were calling it laptop loser time. And that was moments where we'd get together and, again, code together. But we thought, you know, maybe there are other people that also want to get together and code. Those people who are building apps in their bedrooms, who are writing new programming languages in their bedrooms. Let's all meet up once a month and just see what we're all working on and share some ideas and support each other as well. A lot of our meetups have been in person and they're in London. We've started doing a series of dev talks as well online to try and engage the community whilst we can't all come together in the same way to code. And these are some of the events that we've had as well. So we would generally meet up at weekends, we all get our laptops out and just do some coding, and it's really fun. Loads of companies, again, supporting us to let us do this and to let people support each other. And one thing I would say is that it's one of the few meetups that I've attended where there's actually a really diverse range of people that attend. And I do think that's because we've started in a really diverse way. So that means that by starting from the ground as saying, you know, we're a diverse team and we're getting people to come to our community, we've then had a diverse range of people come and they're sharing ideas that they may not have shared if they were in a room just of all the same people. So it's really, really key that that we need to have those diverse teams and diverse people coming together as well. So what impact have we been having? Since, so last year, I was recognised as one of the 50 most inspiring, prominent and influential voices in UK tech by Tech Nation. And this year we have been recognised as one of the Women in Software Changemakers by Makers and Computer Weekly. And then more recognition in Computer Weekly as well. And we were also on the BBC earlier this year for the coding bootcamp. It's actually the first coding bootcamp where we've had it's just been a coding bootcamp made for Black women. So it's really exciting to have that recognition. There's actually a new article in the Apple App Store today, if you want to have a look at that, which is again us showcasing what we're doing with the Black community. It is so important that we have diversity in the tech industry. It makes a huge difference to the things we build and the applications that we put out there. We're building for a diverse society, so we must have diverse teams to make sure that we build the right applications. And you also bring in different mindsets, you bring in different backgrounds, you make sure that you're building things differently. They always say that you build better applications with diverse teams anyway. So thank you very, very much. Here's a bit of information about me and how you can find us on social media. But yeah, thank you very much. I'm going to pass back over to Kosei, who's going to continue with the event. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that, Charlene. Just have a few questions, and there are also a few questions that have been coming through. If anybody has some questions, don't forget to drop them in the Q&A section, and I'll just ask Charlene. So if you do have any questions, please make sure that you do ask them. So a few questions from myself. First of all, you did mention struggling with imposter syndrome, or having felt like, you know, there wasn't anybody that looked like you where you were. And that's definitely something that I've had to go through. I studied computer science at uni, and out of 250 people, there are about 13 girls. By the time I graduated, that number dropped to like 7. And only very few of us, and maybe like 3 or 4 of us, were actually Black females. How did you cope with imposter syndrome, or overcoming feeling as though like you weren't good enough, or that you didn't deserve to be in that space?
I do think it's a constant battle. You know, I still wonder why people are asking me to do things. I'm like, they know that I'm just Charlene. So I do find it very weird still, and people have to remind me. How did I cope at that time? I think that so what I try to do when I'm dealing with imposter syndrome is, when I have success and when good things happen, I try to record it. I try to remember it. And then the next time when I'm trying to tell myself I don't belong in this space, like, should I really be here? I say, actually, no, there's this long list of things that you've achieved, that you've done really well at, and you do belong here. I did spend a lot of time trying to understand my identity better, and I think that helped. When you know who you are, I think that you kind of sit better in some of these spaces. But yeah, I think the key thing for me was understanding myself better, acknowledging my achievements more. And I know I belong in every space. There's no space that I don't belong in, and everyone is just a person, you know. And even if you don't know a subject 100%, you're bringing a different perspective anyway. So that's a good thing. So yeah, I deal with it in that way.
Great. Perfect. And what do you think that we can do to make sure recruitment processes or adverts are more inviting to Black people, to Black women in particular? Because I think that is definitely something that can put people off when they look at a company and they think, this doesn't really look as though I would fit in, or the adverts don't really seem inviting, or you go on the company website and you don't see one Black person in any of the pictures or any of the events. What can we do as like a company to be more inclusive and to inviting to Black people?
So I think that obviously there's going to be a problem in a lot of companies where there aren't enough Black people there anyway. So it's going to be difficult to just put loads of pictures on your website of Black people if you don't have them. But you can do things with communities. You can work with external communities to say, let's run events together, because we know we don't have the right setup here. So let's work with the rest of the community and see what we can do there. I think that, you know, we have to word things correctly on our job specs as well. You know, make those sound inviting. Don't say that you have to have a list of 20 you know, definite things that you need to know about a particular subject, because no one really knows that anyway when they're in tech, and Google like is really important, so we don't actually need to know everything. And yeah, I think that it's just really important to showcase. I think that if you do have a good mix of people in your company, then show that on your website. Show what you've got in your company and who works there and what those people look like. And if you don't, then say that you're going to do something about it. Say that, have a diversity statement on your website, have your diversity policy open for people to see that, because that gives people at least some level of confidence that there's something that you've acknowledged and you want to do something about it.
Yeah. Okay. Another question from the audience here. What preconceptions did you have getting into tech that you don't have now?
So one of the main ones was, I mean, I still have it, like it's still a very like male dominated industry, but when I was a lot younger, I was thinking of coming into this male dominated industry, and I was trying to figure out how to fit in. So I started watching football. I wanted to learn the rules so that I could then talk about that and say, you know, oh guys, did you see this thing happen with the offside? I don't really understand football, yeah. Really joking properly, but I was trying to understand that. And I tried learning to drink beer as well, because I knew that beer was really important and I really wanted to have pub conversations. I still, like, that was all fine. Like, it there were enjoyable bits to learning how to drink beer. But when I switched over to rum and like cranberry rum and coke, I actually enjoyed going to the pub a lot more. It was more enjoyable. And I think the thing that I didn't really think was that I could go into this industry being myself. I started in thinking that I couldn't be myself and tried to figure out how to train myself out of me.
Yeah.
When actually the me that I was bringing was absolutely fine and was probably really valuable to the industry as well.
Great. Okay, last couple of questions. So what can HR teams do to help with your mission?
So HR teams, what they're doing to help with our mission is working with us. So generally, when we work with organisations, we look at putting together a strategy essentially around either if it's just focused on employment, if it's training and employment, we put together those sorts of packages. So it's about looking at what are your recruitment, where are you asking to recruit people from? Where are your jobs advertised? Could you be advertising those directly to Black communities? So that's a very good starting point to say, okay, we're going to use the Code and Black Females job board, the UK Black Tech one, start in those sorts of places. And then if that doesn't work, which I think it takes more than just listing a job in a place, I think you have to then engage with the community as well. So maybe do some mentorship, maybe run some sessions where you have some speakers from your organisation and some speakers from Code and Black Females, and then you run events together so that people can see what you're trying to do. Run workshops, let people learn new skills, and that again can come from either the external community or your internal one, but it shows that you're engaging with the community. And I think as well, we have in society or anywhere, there's less people who are at higher levels, higher roles. So let's support people in developing their skills to get into those roles as well. So one of the key areas that I'm looking at the moment is looking at building more tech leaders, tech architects, that sort of thing, so people can progress from those senior levels up to leadership. So I think that's it. It's focusing on how you can work with a community to then build the right sorts of programs that are going to get the right people in.
Amazing, great. We've got another question here. Do you do much work with schools reaching out to younger girls to give them a role models or encouragement from early? Oh, and also, hi, I'm a fellow further maths student from HDHS.
Oh, is that Jessica Meets, was it?
Yes.
I feel like I saw her name. Hey, Jess, hi. I saw your name and I thought, I'm sure I know that name. So I haven't done much with schools yet. We haven't done that yet. 2021, it's on the plan to do it next year. So this year has been a lot about building as much as we can. And what we want to do is, we were trying to do a lot of building. We want to make sure that we do the safeguarding properly. So we don't want to go into schools until that's all laid out correctly. So that's on the plan for next year, because it's so important to have role models from an early age. So important, as I was saying, when I was growing up, I didn't have that problem so much because I was around women who told me that I could always achieve what I wanted to achieve when I was at school. Nobody ever said that there's anything you can't do. We were told how to do it. And I think that there's a lot that we could be doing in schools to provide those role models. And, we've started by doing it at the levels that we are, so 18 plus, but it's going to be doing that next year with school children as well.
Great. And there's another question quite similar to this. So are you doing any work with primary or secondary school? So you've just answered that one. But what companies are you working with that are doing to improve? What companies you're working with are, what are the companies you're working with doing to improve diversity? There we go. Tick box or genuine attempts to do it by bringing in people into the decision-making process.
So there are some companies that I believe are actually making a genuine difference, and those requests are coming in not from people at our level, not from HR teams, not that there's anything wrong with that, but they're coming in from director level who are saying, you need to work with Code and Black Females, you need to figure out how to do it. So when that happens, we figure out what the solution is. So some of the genuine initiatives that I'm seeing happen are some companies are putting together with us programs that we can then use, that we can keep and deliver on our own terms when we want to, but also that can be delivered in their organisations as well. because they want to build up their teams. Everybody has a problem recruiting, especially at like senior and lead levels. So some of the work that we're doing is around generating that talent, or helping people to realize that they have that talent already and bring that out of them. And I'm seeing companies genuinely want to work with us to make a real difference there. And what we're also doing is, there's a bit around training. I think a lot of companies are actually seeing that they should be giving us financial support as well. You know, a lot of the work that we do is voluntary. A lot of people burn out every now and again. I've definitely nearly burnt out quite a few times and come out the other end. So you know, they're understanding that in order for us to actually move forward, people like me, other people on the team, need to maybe work 4 days a week or 3 days a week so they can then focus more time on it. So they're supporting with those sorts of things as well. There are genuine efforts happening, and I'm sitting in meetings now with directors along with other parts of the team, because they really want to know that they're making a real difference, which is really promising. Actually, it's really positive to see that happen.
Great. And a final question from myself, actually. So if someone's listening, they're not a Black woman in tech, but they are interested in learning how to code or just honing in on some skills that they didn't necessarily know that they had, what are any like similar groups to Coding Black Females that they can access to learn these skills that are for women in tech, not just, you know, specifically for Black women? Because of course we don't want to completely shut the door to people that aren't Black women in tech. So what other groups are there that you know of, or any schemes or stuff like that that are accessible?
Yeah, so I'll say, like, you know, as much as I do a lot of work with Coding Black Females, the reason I set up Meetup Code was because I wanted to do things with the rest of society as well, because it's important. We all need to have access. So one company that's doing amazing things at the moment is Code First Girls. They run, I believe, 12, maybe 6-week or 8-week courses where you can do, you know, learn some coding. That's a way to get in. There are so many online training courses, I can't even list them. 2 really good ones, Free Code Camp and Code Academy. They're really good ways to start learning the basics of coding. And Code Bar, when we were in person, they would run sessions as well. And there's Women Who Code and Ladies of Code as well. So that there are loads and loads of communities that you can get involved with if you want to learn to code, and also stay in it, get in it, and feel empowered. And also, you know, if you're already in that industry, if you're already doing things in that industry in a way that you enjoy, give back to the community if you can mentor, if you can volunteer at either communities like mine or other ones. You know, that's so valuable because people need that. They need that support to continue doing what they do.
Great. Yeah, I have used Code First Girls previously, so yeah, that's definitely a good one to go with. So I think those are all of our questions now. Let me just double check. One more. So how do you respond to people who don't understand organisations like CBF, where they think it's not available to people of all colour?
I respond by letting them know that we have Meetup Code as well. So it isn't there for people of all colour because we actually have a problem that Black women aren't being hired in the roles that they need to be hired in. So one thing is making sure that people understand that. Not everybody's going to understand that we actually need to have a focused initiative for people from specific backgrounds. And when they don't, I just direct them at Meetup Code. It's my easy way out. But I would definitely say that we need to, it's really, really important to understand that sometimes you have to have focused initiatives when there is a problem in society. And that's what we're doing. We're having this focused initiative because, you know, either there are so many barriers to entry, right? It's not just that when you're applying for a job, you're not able to get in or something like that. You know, Black women are more likely to be in poverty in the UK than other groups. So, you know, it's looking at how can we make sure that we're providing. That's why Black Coder, the bootcamp that we have, exists. You know, we're trying to make sure that we're providing childcare and a fully funded course and laptops if you want to do this sort of course. So it's understanding that it's not just a barrier at that job application stage, there are so many barriers, and we're really focused on removing those at the moment. So yeah, I respond by explaining that there are problems in society that need fixing, and we're trying to fix them.
I 100% agree with that, and that was one of the reasons why you were first to mind when I was thinking of who can speak and who can amplify Black women in tech voices. So thank you so much, Charlene, for agreeing and speaking to us and giving us an insight into what you do and all the amazing work. I'm sure a lot of people have found this very useful and very informative. So big thank you for that. I believe that is it. I just want to check quickly, are there any more final questions that are coming through? I believe that is it. So thank you so much, Charlene. Thank you everyone who attended. I hope you found this informative. Remember that it is October. This is Black History Month, so we will be putting out things internally to help you get a better understanding of Black people in tech that have been doing amazing things over the years. Of course, remember to share, repost and stuff like that. And thank you for joining. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you for having me. It's been absolutely fantastic joining you today. Absolutely fantastic.